The world's most important oil artery was shut down. And in Nigeria, a country sitting on gas reserves, people were paying more than ever to have their meals cooked. How did we get here, and what does this mean for us? Welcome to the Gas Conversations, where we discuss about the business, people, and the future of energy in Nigeria, with a specific emphasis on the LPG industry. My name is Esther, and I'm your host. Today, I'm joined with someone who literally keeps gas flowing. He is our precious analyst here at Alice Carries Gas. Please introduce yourself to us.
Hi, Hester.
Hi.
It's so great to be on this episode of Gas Conversations. My name is Favour, and I'm the Senior Operations Analyst of Alice Carries Gas.
Good to have you here.
Thank you. Alice Carries is one of the fastest developing indigenous LPG industries in Nigeria. And I happen to be, like I said earlier, the Senior Operations Analyst. As the Senior Operations Analyst, I am the insight guy, right? I am the one who draws stories from data, draws stories from figures. From my data, right, I help senior management make informed decisions on our operations generally.
That's amazing, Favor, because um, when we think of storytellers,
Yeah.
we think of the emotional, folklore, romance. We don't see storytellers in terms of numbers. So it's interesting for you to be the guy who tells stories from numbers. So based on that, I'm going to ask you,
Yeah.
what is one misconception people have about your role?
Thank you so much for that question, Esther. Yeah, one very big conception people have about data analysts in the LPG industry is, like I said earlier, we are storytellers. Not just storytellers, but we are objective storytellers. Our stories are based on data.
Yes.
We don't give stories based on emotions.
Yes.
Right? But one general misconception is that we are only needed when there is problem, when there is shortage. We ship in 100 metric tons of gas. We are expected to sell 100 metric tons of gas during a sales cycle.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, we sold 95 and there is nothing left.
Yes.
When there is a shortage of about 5 tons, that's when we are always being called. The misconception, right, I feel can be treated if we are always being carried along, giving insights, influencing decision making, right? Not just only when there is shortage. Yes, that's the major misconceptions about operations analysts in the gas industry.
Great. So, based off the fact that you earlier said that you're sort of storytellers and your stories are drawn from data, you're even in a position to advise
That's
on
correct.
subsequent cycles, as against being people who are relegated to when the trouble occurs.
That's
You can
correct.
be people who, because of your insight and data, can forestall subsequent problems from occurring.
That's correct.
That's interesting. So, if you've ever thought that data analysts are just people who conduct autopsies after errors, they're basically telling you that they are proactive problem solvers. Thank you very much, Favor. So my next question to you, Favor, is how did you get into the energy sector? Was it always the plan, or it wasn't the plan?
Well, right from time, I would say yes and no. Yes, in the sense that my professional background was in geology. I studied geology in the University of Ibadan. And I studied geology with a mindset that after graduating, I would end up in a big international oil company such as
Schlumberger.
Exactly, Shell, Chevron, Schlumberger, Halliburton, those big names.
Big dreams, valley dreams.
For Nigeria, this is Nigeria.
It's giving man proposes, Nigeria does otherwise.
Exactly. So post NYC, I found myself in the mining sector. I briefly worked in a gold mining company, briefly in Edo State. That was just briefly after NYC. From there, I transitioned to a clean energy tech company.
Okay.
You understand, that was in Lagos before moving down to Abuja. There was a time of career pause before coming here to Alice Carries. Alice Carries is also an energy company, right? So I would say it's not really a far cry from what I studied. My core background was in geology, but I am doing data analysis, more like tech. So I'm more like combining my professional background plus tech in an energy company. Yes. So, of course, it has always been a plan to work in an energy company, but not in an LPG, like specific, like
niche
exactly.
energy company.
I really wanted to work in an oil and gas company,
Yes.
such as ExxonMobil, Chevron, like I mentioned earlier.
So I guess this will be an example of a journey of 1,000 miles, beginning with the first step. So yeah, I would say you're in the right place.
Well, you can say that.
So we'll agree to disagree, whatever it is you want to say. But yes, so let's jump into the conversation for today. Earlier, when I started, I said that at the gas conversations, we discuss about the business, the people, and the future of energy, with specific emphasis on LPG in Nigeria. And I feel like before we can discuss the future, right, we can't change the past, but we can discuss what is going on now. And in the course of my introduction, I mentioned how something happening somewhere in the Middle East is having a ripple effect here in Nigeria. So, how did we get here? So, for people who haven't either been following the news closely or have been following the news, but there's still a gap in like their understanding of what is happening, why what is happening over at the Middle East is affecting us in Nigeria. My question will be, can you explain simply what's happening in the Iran war and why it's sort of affecting us over here, gas prices and all?
Yeah, Esther, I must really say that's a very important question. In the last couple of weeks, that's been a question that has been ringing in the minds of energy experts in the industry. So let me just start with the background to the Gulf tensions. So the Gulf tension started late February, right? We saw in the news where the US and Israel coordinated a joint airstrike or coordinated joint airstrikes on Iran.
Yeah.
And Iran retaliated forcefully. They did a lot of counter airstrikes, surface to air and all. But one of the retaliations of Iran is what we are set to discuss, and that's the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz.
Yes.
What is the Strait of Hormuz? We've always been hearing that, seeing that on X, on social media and all. I would say the Strait of Hormuz is a waterway, more like a bridge connecting two Gulf regions, the Persian Gulf and the Omani Gulf.
Okay.
Let me just break it down because those words are.
Please go ahead. That's what we came here for.
The Persian Gulf is a gulf in the Middle East where majority of the oil and gas reserves of the world is stored.
Yes.
And produced. We have about 5 Middle Eastern countries producing in the Persian Gulf, which includes Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
We have Kuwait.
Yes.
We have Qatar.
Yes.
We have, I think, Oman also, right? Now, the Strait of Hormuz is a geological or a geographical feature that has just one naval, let's say naval or marine entrance and exit.
Okay.
The entrance also serves as an exit.
the exit.
So it's more like a
one
close.
way.
You understand?
Okay.
Good. Now, the strait, right, is just like a body of land that tongues into the water, now narrowing that waterway. Now, it tongues from Oman to the south of Iran. Now, Iran blocked the straits. Ships coming through the straits, like I said earlier, and also go out. But Iran blocked that way, that strait.
Yes.
Now, permit me to say this before I continue, that by data, right, data shows us that 20% or 1/5 of the global crude that is being shipped worldwide passes through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, with the strait being blocked, you can only imagine the impact it's going to have on global oil and gas.
Yes.
Pre-blockade, ships pass through that strait freely, but when it got blocked, some vessels got stranded. Exactly. And some were not able to go in and load. Now, Iran blocked that. Now, what impact does this have on Nigeria, on the Nigerian energy sector?
Yes.
Good. NMDPR released a report last year, earlier this year, I think that was in January, February, that Nigeria consumed 1.6 million metric tons of LPG in the whole of 2025.
Yes.
Now, out of these 1.6 million metric tons, about 87% was locally produced.
Yeah.
That's about 1.4 million metric tons was locally produced. Now, who are the local producers of this? We have the likes of NLNG and Dangote.
Yeah.
Dangote in Lagos, right? Local producers benchmark their price against the price of LPG outside of Nigeria, not just locally.
Okay.
So that creates a kind of balance in pricing globally. I won't want to price my LPG below what is being sold outside of Nigeria, exactly, just to stay in the market. So the impact it's having on Nigeria is the fact that there's something called import parity pricing.
Okay.
And what does that mean? Like I explained earlier, it's just pricing of what you produce, the LPG you produce, against global benchmark.
Standards, yes.
In the oil industries, in the oil industry, sorry, the global benchmark is Brent, Brent crude. You must have been hearing that.
Yes.
So indigenous oil companies who produce or refine crude oil, price their crude, their local crude against Brent. We have the one produced in Nigeria, which is Bonny Light. We have Brent, which is the global benchmark. We also have others like WTI, West Texas Intermediate. So what impact does
the blockage of the Strait of
exactly the Gulf tension? What impact does it have in Nigeria? Is the fact that local producers are pricing their LPG against the global standard,
yes.
which is called Mont Belvieu for LPG. So Brent is to crude what Mont Belvieu is to LPG. I don't know. I hope I've answered the question.
If you have additional questions following this explanation, you want to leave that in the comment section, and we'll be happy to sort of, further this discussion. Or I feel like with what Favour has explained, you sort of have an inroad into sort of what to put on the internet while searching for more information. I feel like I already have some assignments just from that explanation already. I don't know why I thought the answer would have been a 1 + 1 = 2, but apparently it's looking like a quadratic equation where we're actually trying to find the value of x. All right. Another thing is Nigeria is an oil producing country.
Yes.
And you would hear people say things like, oh, if we're producing oil, if we have oil, why do we suffer from global price hikes? Can you tell us about that?
Thank you so much for that question again, Esther. I kind of think that the question is similar,
very similar, yes,
to what we discussed earlier. In all fairness, I'd love to say the federal government has taken some great steps in ensuring that the supply, the LPG supply
yes,
in Nigeria is being guaranteed over time. We have initiatives such as the National Gas Master Plan.
Yes.
We have the
Decade of Gas
Initiative.
Yes.
You understand? We also have one by NNPC. I think that's the Gas Master Plan itself.
Okay.
2 weeks ago, we saw in the news where the AKK gas pipeline is set to be commissioned in June.
Can you tell them what the AKK is, just in case they don't? I think it's Ajaokuta.
Yeah, the pipeline that feeds Ajaokuta to Abuja, Kaduna, and Kano. So that's Ajaokuta, Kaduna, Kano gas pipeline. Exactly. So, of course, these are great initiatives, great steps in the right direction, right? Ensuring that we are not really a shadow of what we portray ourselves in the global gas market. However, there are problems still yet to be solved.
Yes, infrastructure problems in particular.
Infrastructure problems, and also supply problems. We see from data like in 2024, right, that about 30% of what we consumed was imported. But that dropped sharply to about 13% in 2025. 13% of what we consumed in 2025 was also imported. So more like what we consumed in 2025 was majorly locally sourced. You understand? So we are in the right direction.
Yeah.
If we can just study the trend, right? So how does this translate into the question, right? Any imbalance in the global supply chain, especially in a critical sector such as the energy sector, the oil and gas, will always have an impact, either positive or negative, on Nigerians, down to the end users,
Yes.
the grassroots, those in the grassroots. The of course we are one of the we are one of the nations with the largest reserves of gas
Yes.
and also crude.
Yeah.
But then we have the reserves, but the
Utilization of the reserves is a different
exactly
conversation.
is a different conversation.
Yeah.
Are we setting up infrastructure to process what we have,
Yeah.
like the reserves we have?
Yeah.
That's another question.
I think that is even sort of where this whole thing sits.
Yeah.
It's the fact, just like we say, right? Potential doesn't equal activity, right? Something can be, if something remains in a particular state and it's not acted on, it would remain like that, right? In our earlier videos, one of the things we established was gas is not only, you can get gas through associated gas, that is gas extracted from oil production, or unassociated gas extracted from natural gas reserves, right? And as one of the countries with the largest natural gas reserves, it looks like for the longest time the emphasis has been on gas processing from crude oil, like getting gas production from crude oil processing, and not much effort may have gone into processing natural gas reserves. And so it's sort of back to what you're saying. It's not enough to say, I have the ability or the capacity to do something. If you're not showing sufficient workings, right, the potential remains. So I think it's actually something for, you know, the government to sort of look into how to bolster local gas production. If we keep remaining a an import heavy, supply heavy economy, then global issues will always have impact on national consumption. All right, so I think one of the things we've established, you know, hearing you just break down um, the nexus between what is happening outside Nigeria and how it affects Nigeria is that we are actually more connected than we realize, right? And truly, distance may not be a barrier. Like distance may be a barrier in other things, but not in economics, because at the end of the day, whatever happens outside has a way of affecting sort of what is happening inside. Thank you so much, Evo. I feel like we could go on and on because even the more I'm learning from you, I'm asking questions and I'm wondering, is this, is this the right place for that exchange? But to close this out, we're going to be doing something I call the gas grill or the fire grill, where I ask you questions and you need to answer sharp, sharp. Are you ready?
Bring it on.
Are you ready? So, Russia, Iran, OPEC, which has the most influence over your day-to-day work?
OPEC.
OPEC. Okay. My next question, domestic LPG production in Nigeria. Are we 5 years away, 20 years away, or I beg, don't ask me at the rate we are going?
I think we're 5 years away.
We're 5 years away. All right. So, what's the best thing about being in energy and the worst thing about being in energy?
The best thing about being in energy is the opportunity to explore. It's a very vast sector.
Yes.
Right. So you are subjected to read, to explore, to research, and to also grow. Like the energy sector is it's an open sky. Exactly. It's boundless. It's an open sky. So there is wide room for you to go. Right. But I won't want to say the worst thing per se. I can't really identify the worst thing in the energy sector right now. So
all right, great. Because if you asked me, when you said you had so much to read, that would have also been the worst thing. Because it means that the moment you think, oh, you know what is happening next, you actually have to be on your toes because in a twinkling of an eye, the status quo can status unquo, right? So you almost always have to be on your toes when it comes to keeping up with the changes in the industry. Thank you so much, Favour. It has been such a delight. I don't know about the people online. Sometimes I don't care about them because we care about them. We're doing this, but it has been a very insightful conversation for me. I feel like I'm going to leave here to go and understand, the other things running the show in this industry that I'm a part of, because I want to be able to sound as, cerebral as you. Thank you so much, Favour,
Thank,
for being here. So glad that you came.
thank you so much, Esther, for the great work you're doing with gas conversations. I I'd say this is an avenue that should be adopted by gas professionals in the industry, right? Having more conversation in the gas sector. Let young professionals really understand what's really going on, because like you mentioned earlier, the gas industry or the oil and gas industry is very dynamic. What it is today is not what it's going to be tomorrow.
Literally and figuratively.
Exactly. The figures change.
Yeah.
Professionals change. Concepts change.
Yes.
There is always an addition. So the more we have these conversations, the more apprise we have with the information in the oil and gas industry.
All right. Thank you so much, Favour. You are head, Favour. If the energy industry interests you, the gas conversation is something you should be listening to. So till our next episode on the gas conversation, stay gassed up.